Towards the middle again, looking for Tarrant. And again, Tarrant goes top shelf. Back-to-back goals for Tarrant. 1:10 left in this second quarter. Fitzgerald plays it towards the middle. A nice centering pass and tapped home by Minka Kuhlman. Her 6th of the year, and the best player recently for Holy Cross continues her hot stretch of play to give Holy Cross a 1-0 advantage over Fairfield. Quick chance forward for Getz. Getz with Forrester to her right. Getz nearly bounces in. Second effort goes. MIT has won the NUMAC Fields Hockey Tournament Championship. Iglesias tried to play it towards the middle, ended up at Kratz on the outside. A nice move through the legs to get all the way into the middle. LaPlante makes a nice save, and it's flicked up and in by Paige Lowry, and we're all even at 1. That had trouble written all over it. Here comes Tarrant, already with 2 goals, looking for the hat trick. Spins around towards the middle. Galini sliding over to make a save right in front of Berlinghoff, who got a stick on it. Crusaders surrender another penalty corner left for Perseal again. Iglesias takes it, and this one is tapped home. Profita with the deflection. Iglesias intentionally wide, but Profita and her goal scoring ability, her 5th of the year, has Fairfield on top. Back at Burleson Field, a quick conference for Cherrick Van Eerwaarden with his squad. Up 2-0, but still not totally pleased with the result through that first quarter. Mimi Tarrant with both goals, and we've talked a lot about maybe why Coach Van Eerwaarden is a little bit disappointed, because they need to win all of their games pretty much moving forward. This game tonight against BU doesn't matter in terms of the conference, but because of that loss against Princeton, you've mentioned it a few times, Craig, that was the de facto Ivy League tournament championship, and they need to win out because Princeton's a really tough squad. They're probably not going to lose out.
Yeah, they need to win out. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. If they want a chance to get in, I'm not sure if we mentioned it on air or not tonight, but Princeton needs to lose both of their last 2 Ivy League games, while Harvard winning both of their last 2, in order for Harvard to win the Ivy League, because Princeton has that tiebreaker due to that loss for Harvard on Saturday. And so not only do Harvard need to win tonight and their next 2, you saw the competition there with Columbia on the schedule for Harvard, but they also need to, it's not a great way to put it necessarily, but beat up on their opponents. So there's going to be no mercy if Harvard can have it their way here tonight. Saw 2 goals in the opening quarter, already a 2-0 lead. Don't expect Harvard to let up or show a ton of gamesmanship here tonight, because they need large wins in order to increase that RPI and have a chance to get into the national tournament.
Nicely taken away momentarily by the Crimson. Now a free hit coming here for the Terriers, nicely maneuvered in by Casey Thompson, and we'll get a penalty corner. But Harvard with Dartmouth and Columbia. Dartmouth senior night here on November 2nd coming up this weekend. Dartmouth 8th in the conference, so they still have to play the game, but on paper that looks like a potential win here for Harvard. And then traveling to Columbia, tied 3rd in the conference. That'll be a little bit more of a difficult game, especially when you factor in the road factor. Princeton has Cornell and Penn, both 3-2 in the conference.
Yeah, Penn, Cornell, and Columbia all bunched up there.
Chabot didn't get to see that shot, but it was blocked down in front. Thompson sprawling for it, couldn't get a stick on it, and the penalty corner killed there by the Crimson. So with those 2 3-2 teams up for Princeton, you never know. As I mentioned, you still got to play the games, but Princeton just seems to be in a completely different tier. And even in that game against Harvard, back and forth, but proving this season that the Princeton Tigers just slightly better than the Harvard Crimson this season.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be surprised if they meet again in the NCAA tournament if Harvard's to get in. Again, this is between the 2 teams combined to win the last 7 Ivy League championships. Princeton with 5 of those 7. Top 2 teams in the Ivy League preseason at the end of last year, all throughout this season. Princeton's been basically in the top 10 all year long. Harvard started there at number 6. It was the first time the Ivy had 2 teams ranked in the top 10 to begin the season. Conference was ranked 3rd in the conference RPIs to begin the year. They have since gone down a little bit, but the Ivy League as a whole continues to build a little field hockey tradition here, and that starts at the top with the orange and black.
And again, just to emphasize, Harvard needs to win out. Princeton needs to lose out in order to get that automatic qualifier in the NCAA tournament, because that would ensure that Harvard would win the Ivy League. But if that doesn't happen, Harvard still likely needs to win out here in order to boost their RPI, because as of right now, they would be on the outside looking in terms of RPI once you factor in the automatic qualifiers. So either way you draw it up, Harvard needs to win these last 3 contests. Up ahead to Tarrant, the goal scorer, has both of them. Puts her in first on the team with 8. Centering pass looking for Allen, didn't quite get there. Stuck in the corner. Maddie Earl comes away with it, gets spun around, and free hit coming for the Crimson. Tarrant pushes it towards the middle. Earl chops it up in on Galini, and a nice save by Galini.
Just love Earl's creativity inside. She really has a goal scorer's touch. Led the Ivy League in scoring last year. Wasn't her year this year, but she's been hot as of late. I think it's goals in 3 of her last 4 or something of the sort. And she puts her nose in there, gets to those so-called dirty areas and not afraid to go inside. And saw her with a dangerous touch there last time around.
Hit the nail on the head there, Craig. 3 of her last 4 games. A goal in 3 of her last 4 games after only scoring 1 over the beginning portion of the season. And as you mentioned, really struggling this season compared to last season when she led the Ivy League in scoring, was an Ivy League first team selection, 16 goals last year. A hat trick in Harvard's first NCAA tournament win. Does have a goal in her career against the Terriers. That came last season. So look for Maddie Earl potentially to continue her hot streak as of late. 3 goals in her last 4 contests.
And it is worth mentioning, Anthony, that the rain has started to come down a little bit harder here in Cambridge. I know sometimes it's hard to pick up with technology and how it looks on the camera. Not always super visible, but certainly it's a heavy mist,
yes,
as you put it, Anthony. It's certainly not going to puddle up, at least not now, but it is coming down harder than it was when we started at 6 p.m.
Well, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially in terms of field conditions. A field hockey ritual is to water down the field before the game in order to slow up the pitch a little bit with this AstroTurf. It does get very fast, but at the same time, when you water the field and then you have a heavy drizzle like this, could make field conditions a little bit more slippery out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to affect the game too much unless it starts to come down a little bit harder. Great facility here at Burleson Field, and they should have ways to distribute the water as it comes in. So they should be okay unless it really starts to come down.
Mottner gets past Olivia Hoover, but taken away by Bente Van Vlymen. Plays both ways, the senior for Harvard. Looking in the middle, could not connect cleanly with Emily Berlinghoff. Van Vlymen comes in from behind, trying to disrupt that connection with Shannon Ma, and it goes back to the Terriers.
Yeah, that's an important play for Shannon Ma. Plays like that oftentimes kind of go unseen in the middle. Those are the plays that Harvard was connecting on back in the first quarter. Just between the second quarter of the field outside of the offensive quarter for Harvard, in the midfield for Boston University. This is an area where they struggled in that first quarter, and Harvard made some long connecting passes, even on that play to Allen that wasn't finished off. You saw a weakness glaring there for Boston University, and now here in the second quarter they've cleaned up some of those mistakes.
2 goals for Mimi Tarrant and a near goal for Casey Allen, but they have settled down since. Craig, what have you kind of liked out of this Terrier defense over the last 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, well, it's been about that space there in the middle that I was just talking about for Boston University. And, I mean, mostly between the center line and the 23-meter line where they've been better. And then they've clogged up the middle, a little bit more buy-in defensively inside the circle. And Harvard not exactly going for as many of those long stretch passes as they were back in the first quarter. Now that they've opened up a little bit of this lead, Boston University has played with the ball a little bit more than they did in the opening 15.
Long pass up ahead. Here comes Casey Allen. Burlinghoff tried to feed Greenwood towards the corner. Good stick work from the Terriers. Grace Geiger with the free hit. She's only played in now 8 games this year, Grace Geiger, a senior from New Albany, Ohio. As the rain has picked up a little bit more now here at Burleson Field.